Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. I'm Dr. Teresa J. Canada, the host of the Silk Stocking Sisters podcast. And today's podcast, we have a special guest. Like, as you know, all my guests are special, Miss Patricia Meidel. And she'll tell you a little bit about her name in terms of her discussion. But she was a person who was of Puerto Rican descent who's going to talk about her experience in Jersey City, New Jersey. Welcome, Miss Meidel.
How are you? Nice being here.
Thank you. Thank you for being able to come and talk to us and talk to us about your experience in education and your ancestry and how that all impacted your life. So can you just tell us the beginning in terms of where you started out when in what you said, New York City area? Yes.
All right. In Jersey City, my parents met in Spanish Harlem in the 40s and decided when my mother became pregnant to move to Jersey City, which was much more quiet and apparently not as active as Spanish Harlem. So I was born in Jersey City on St. Patrick's Day in 1947. And we lived in a cold water flat. And I started kindergarten at 5 in a Catholic school. But I spoke no English. I only spoke Spanish. And it was a bit traumatic because the teacher was very traditional. And she taught me English by hitting me on my legs with a pointer. So for the sake of survival, I learned the alphabet within the year and how to speak English. I was traumatized.
What else is new, right? But so, I have another person, talking about her experience in Catholic school in another previous episode. But do you think that was the incentive to make sure you spoke English?
She was very proud. She would have visitors come in and show like what she did with the little Puerto Rican girl. And as a result, I'm not embarrassed to say I urinated in my pants constantly because of my nerves. And I asked my mother, I said, Mom, they're hitting me because I can't speak English. And this is very hard for a mother. Today I realized, she said, I can't help you. I can't speak English either.
Oh,
so it was difficult.
So your mother spoke no English at all at the time?
No. My father did because he went out to work. My mother was a housewife.
Okay.
Yes. She learned it, and eventually she was much smarter than I was. And,
people assume because you didn't speak English that you weren't smart, quote unquote, correct?
Listen, there was a time they would classify you for being special ed because you were not English dominant. So,
and you were held. Some students were held back in school because of that, correct?
Yes. Or sent back certain grades. But I have to speak of my mother very quickly because my mother, throughout my life, was very vehement about education because she herself was pulled out of 3rd grade in Puerto Rico to support her family. So hems on handkerchiefs, 100 for 10 cents. To have put food on the table. So she was pulled out of 3rd grade and it broke her heart. And so she was very fiendish about us getting educated. I don't care how you did it, but do it. That's your only way, to survive. So she was the impetus.
To make sure you were educated.
Oh my God, yes. So the 3 of us became college graduates eventually.
Yeah, but see, people don't understand that. They have these assumptions. Okay?
Yes.
But the point is, education was crucial because she saw the difference it would make in your life.
Oh my God, yes. And she was hungry for it.
Even for herself, if she could have had
yes. She was hard. She always told me she was heartbroken. But there was no recourse.
But do you think that it made a difference when you did learn to speak English?
When I learned to speak English, it was for the sake of survival. It was a lay teacher in kindergarten, but then I had nuns, and they were very empathetic. They were young women in the order of, Seton Hall, Sisters of Charity. And they were brought into the convent at the age of 18 or whatever to teach.
That was their role.
They were teachers. They were not as warm as other orders are, but they were dedicated teachers.
Right. Okay, good. Okay, so then so your parents met in Spanish Harlem, and they left and they came to Jersey City, and that's where you resided. So tell us a little bit about what made the transition for you to leave when you finished the Catholic school. When did you eventually go to the public school system?
I could not afford, my parents could not afford the tuition of $25 a month for me because they had 2 other children. So I was sent to the local public school. And there is divine intervention, and I'm spiritual in that way because it was the best 4 years of my life. I bloomed.
So
I
what
was
year
in
did you? What year was that? What grade?
1961.
And what grade were you in?
I was in 8th grade, and then I went to high school in 19. I'm old. And
Oh, please.
so it was wonderful. It was wonderful. It was just
was
a wonderful experience. Yes.
Okay, so that was in Jersey City Public Schools.
Jersey City Public School. I have to give them the credit. Ferris High School.
Okay, that's it. Is a high school still in existence? That's the question.
Yes, yes. And then I
Oh,
went back to teach. It was some of my years of teaching. I went back to teach there.
okay, so tell us a little bit about your transition from high school. You graduated from high school and you attended college and you decided to go back and you decided to teach. Yes.
Well, I attended college 4 years after. Don't forget, I came from a poor background, and so I didn't have the money for college. Eventually, I went to work, and eventually, I worked in New York. This famous jewelry company back then was called Bush Jewelry Company. They had different stores in Brooklyn. Hold on a second, wait a minute. And they had different stores in different Brooklyn, New York City. So there, 4 years after that, I was 22. There was a scholarship, financial, being offered to students that could not have afforded education, and I was accepted.
Wow.
And that's how I got. That's how I got through 4 years of college.
Okay, was that in New York?
No, Jersey City.
Really?
There was a grant. It was called EOF, Education Opportunity Fund.
Funds. Yes, yes,
Yes,
yes, yes,
yes,
yes, yes.
yes. And they have
Okay, you
different
see,
names
people
now.
need to understand. People, oh, you don't have this program. Well, you're just evidence of what can happen.
Yes,
You have
yes,
this ability if you have the opportunity. People allow you to have access and be able to get the opportunity to get the education. Look what can happen, and that's what I
yes.
want people to know. Okay, give us the opportunity, and we'll do okay.
Right. You're hungry for it, but you don't have the means.
Yes, yes.
So
So that's what started. So then once you graduated from college, then you start in the classroom right away, or no?
I worked in Newark for a year, and then I transferred to Jersey City, and I was a grammar school teacher. And then eventually I went back for my master's, and
Okay.
I acquired 6 certifications, 6 different licenses to teach special ed,
Oh,
teacher of Spanish, ESL, art, you name it. I was very hungry for education. That was my mother's doing.
she kept saying, "Get more education, get more." Education.
Yes, and every assignment gives you a new challenge. When I taught kindergarten bilingual education, I became a bilingual teacher. I had children that were coming in kindergarten that I saw had problems in learning, disabilities, and the child study team, psychologist and social worker and learning specialists kept saying they'll outgrow it in 1st grade, and I knew they weren't going to. And so I took courses in special ed,
Okay.
and then I became a special ed teacher.
All right. So was it just special ed in general or special ed ESL?
No, ESL is a different component. It's
Okay.
a special ed. ESL you can teach from kindergarten all the way to 12th grade.
Okay.
Okay. ESL, and so can you with special ed also.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
And that was the certification you received in New Jersey.
In my master's, right.
Okay. All right. So what made you transition away from education and all these
Education? No, I taught for 30 years.
Okay.
And
in the same school system?
Different schools. I went from grammar school to high school. And eventually, after I retired, I worked as freelancing in Fairleigh Dickinson University.
Okay. So you were doing like adjunct work?
Adjunct work. Thank you. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Yes. So you were a professor as well. Great.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But now, what did you specialize when you were doing the adjunct work? What did they ask you to do?
Believe it or not, these were students that were being accepted in these programs, and they needed ESL,
Oh.
English as a second language.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So it was in the education programs.
Right.
Well, there's people who are Spanish speaking.
Spanish speaking from different towns, because Fairleigh Dickinson, where I worked, was near the Washington Bridge. So they were coming in from let's say northern North Jersey, more north in Jersey. I live in Jersey City, close to the Holland,
Right,
close to the Holland Tunnel.
right.
These people were
Closer to the
probably
George
from
Washington Bridge.
Teaneck, right, that area. Um, oh my God, Teaneck, those towns.
Yeah, I know the
Leonia,
area.
yes. But these were children that were immigrants, new immigrants, and fairly arrived immigrants. And how do I put it? They could speak English. You don't ESL is not you don't translate.
Right.
You have to speak English.
English is a second language, right?
Right.
Well, people need to know. I'm sorry, I should have asked you to clarify. What does ESL stand for? Can you tell?
English is a second language.
Okay, and tell people specifically what is that? It's defined to as opposed to bilingualism.
Bilingualism is you teach in both languages. You teach in Spanish first. I taught kindergarten totally Spanish, and as they went along to up to third grade, they were transitioning more and more to English. You have a pull-out situation that teachers teach English, but I taught totally in Spanish in kindergarten.
Okay.
And then little by little, the transition comes in third grade, where fourth grade, you finally go to a monolingual English class.
Fourth grade?
Fourth grade.
Okay.
Okay. So in ESL in college, it's just, I have to give you, the fortunate thing was that I'm Spanish, and I have a Spanish degree also. I constantly remind them that the grammar in Spanish is very similar to the grammar in English. You have pronouns, subject, verbs. The grammar, kindly enough, it's not like an Asian language. Okay. And it's very similar to English, not in sounds and pronunciation, but in structure.
Okay. If people who know that, what that means, everybody doesn't understand what you mean by structure, but I'm just saying, I understand, of course.
Right.
But my point is, people think it's like, to some people, it's like a foreign, it's like, oh, I can't relate to that.
Yeah.
But it once you start learning, you understand it better. But
Nouns, you have nouns, you have the subject, you have the predicate, the verbs, you have the adjectives, the phrases.
But listen to this. My concern is this: the current from what's happening now in the United States, children aren't even learning the basic stuff in English.
They're not even learning handwriting. I learned in second grade, and
they've eliminated that. They've eliminated it from the requirement.
Yes, that's amazing. How do you sign your name on a document?
Well, it's like I said, we're going to go back and put an X. That's what's going to happen.
Yes. Okay. All right.
Okay. And they have you print your name, and then they convert it technology-wise to make it signature.
Yes.
And that's so sad. But it just says a lot about, well, we could probably go on about the things.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Because it's interesting. I want to share this very quickly with you in the audience. I was a substitute teacher, and while I was working my doctoral degree, and I was able to, I taught a second. This is really part of New York City, in an area that had a decent sized Puerto Rican students. And to tell you the interest of parents, the class, I was taking over a class, which we called long-term substitute teaching, which a teacher's going away for a month or so, and they need somebody to cover the class for a longer period of time.
Yes.
So I accepted this long-term commitment, and it was like the end of December till the end of December, something like that. So interesting enough, I knew the composition of the most of the students in the school, and the assignment was the teacher who was going on leave and asked me to cover a class. She said, "There's a assembly program," and people understand what an assembly program is when you're like at the end of it's like a holiday at the end of
or even every month they celebrate something. And
right, but this was
the whole school.
Right, this was the preparation for the end of for the holiday, Christmas, whatever celebration. Okay. So she told me this is what I have, and she gave me materials and stuff. So what I chose to do, because I knew that in my class that I had students who were Spanish speaking, I said, well, we're going to convert this to Spanish and English. That's what I said.
Okay.
Right. Okay. So, I have a basic understanding. I understand Spanish very well, as my father said, but yes, I don't speak it very well. So I always felt that was a problem for me. So I decided to have one of the girls in the class who assisted me, and I did my research, and we converted the performance that we did for the class in English and in Spanish. And it just was a big hit. Okay. So much so that the parents who had their children this is what I'm saying, parents know, they may not know everything about the school system, but they still want the best for their children. And I met saying, These were Spanish-speaking parents who did not know the ins and outs of everything about their school education, a board of education or whatever, but they wanted the best for their children.
Yes.
They then went, and this is a real true story. They went, I got a call from the assistant principal. She said, the principal wants to see you. I said, oh my gosh, what did I do wrong? That's what you think, right? I go to the principal's office and he was a little nervous. I'm like, why is he nervous? I should be the nervous one. He said, Miss Canada, we would like to offer you a bilingual class in the spring. He said, unfortunately, you can't stay in this class, but we'd like you to keep you in the school because you work very well with our population of students. And so I said, I thanked him. I said, I thank you so much. I said, but I'll be working more on my dissertation in the spring, so I won't be able to take on a full-time position. And let me tell you the backstory behind this. What happened was, like in Puerto Rico, they have a place, women gather and so forth, and they talk. I can't think of the name of the term of it now, but 5 or 6 parents went to the principal in math and said to the principal, we don't want the old teacher to come back. We want to keep this teacher.
Okay.
That's what I heard. The assistant principal told me after the fact. She said, that's what happened. And the principal, was trying to appease the parents in some form of fashion because he knew that the other teacher, who was a seasoned tenured person, was coming back in January.
And certified, and the union would probably,
yes,
all sorts of ramifications.
So his thing was to just keep me in the school building and the parents would be okay. And maybe I'll teach some of their students in the next grade or something, right?
Right.
I'm just saying to you, that was an indication of how parents, these are Puerto Rican and I think a few Dominican parents, who knew they want the best for their child. And the fact that I just made it important to understand the culture and be respectful of the culture was significant. And I think that's what we need more of today for our classrooms.
I believe that parents they have a sense of who they can relate to. And when they can relate to, and the child is the first report card on you. When the child shows enthusiasm and progress, what else is there to discuss?
Yeah. But that was something that had never happened to me before. I was just amazed.
I'm very honored for you.
Thank you. But I'm just saying to you, I recognize, nobody had to tell me. I said, no, this, look who's in the school. Look who's in my class.
Yes.
How could I not compute? How am I going to just do everything in English? You got to have some. And as a matter of fact, there was a woman who, for her son, she wouldn't let him speak Spanish. And it's the second grade. I said, oh, no, big mistake. You must. She said, well, he has learned to speak. I said, no. He needs to be able to keep his Spanish speaking ability as well as learning to speak English.
Well, I have to remind you that when I was growing up, and in the 50s and the 60s,
it was English only.
Right. To speak another language was demeaning.
Yes.
And considered a handicap.
Yes.
And eventually the United States got the notion that Europe has, and other places, they speak several languages.
Yes.
Maybe we're not, I don't know when the realization came in, but there were lawsuits.
Keep up. Right.
Yes.
But I know for a fact children were chastised
for speaking another language.
That's right. That's right.
English only.
There's a big push English only in the United States in the 60s and 70s. English only. And I tell people, people bring who they are to where they are.
Right.
Okay. So how could you, tell this child? But I was very upset with the mother when she said, oh, I don't want. I said, no, believe me, 10, 15 years from now, you're going to regret not allowing this young man to maintain his Spanish speaking ability.
And studies have shown that the most crucial age to teach a new language is when they're children.
That's right, when they're early age. Okay.
So, yes.
And it's also an asset. Okay. That's it. All right. Well, listen, I'm not going to keep you too much longer. I promised that I would not keep you too long, but I just think it's a wonderful experience. And I think your story tells a lot about what's possible. Okay. What's possible. And that's why I said I want people to hear directly from individuals who experienced it. And they have different cultures, different languages, and what you have to go through and how you still excel. Okay. Because it's still about excellence. It's about learning. It's about education, having a better life. Right. Yes. Right here. Okay. So I just want to thank you so much for your participation.
And thank you for inviting me. It was my pleasure. And it was a pleasure to meet you.
We'll be in touch. Believe me, we're not going to disappear. We're going to disappear. We'll be in touch. Okay. Thank you so much.